Welcome to BeEnriched, a learn-at-home project produced by the Wellness Institute of Greater Buffalo in cooperation with the Buffalo Public Schools and hosted by Buffalo Public School teachers. Your host for today's virtual field trip is Michele Agosto, Director of Arts for the Buffalo School System. Now please join Michele as she travels to fun and educational destinations throughout Western New York.
Hello, Buffalo Public Schools family. Welcome to BeEnriched, a televised field trip program just for you. I'm Michele Agosto, and I'm the Director of Arts, and I'm here at the wonderful Buffalo Art Studio with their curator, Shirley Verrico. Thank you so much for being with us.
And thank you so much for inviting us. We are excited to be able to have Buffalo Public School children and their families into Buffalo Art Studios. And we're really excited to be coming into their homes today and talking a little bit about our organization and what we do.
Yeah, we're happy that you're doing this. Thank you. I know that there's a really interesting history. It's relatively young compared to other places that we visited. But can you tell us a little bit about how this transformed from what it was a studio for artists to the gallery that it is today?
So Buffalo Art Studios is a not-for-profit arts center. So we do lots of things here, which you started to mention. And originally, about 30 years ago, Buffalo Art Studios was created by a woman named Joanna Angie who wanted to find a safe and affordable space for artists to make their work. And it's a lot harder than it sounds to have safe and affordable space for artists. And she worked with some developers who had purchased this building. This building is not young. This building is over 100 years old, and it was originally a Model A Ford plant.
Oh, wow.
They also made jet airplanes here and windshield wipers. It was unfortunately empty in the 70s and 80s, but when it was purchased by the Toronto developers, they recognized the value of the arts and the way that the artists and arts can change a community. So the first three tenants here were three arts organizations: Buffalo Art Studios, Hallwalls Art Center, and also Just Buffalo Literary Center. So we started out with a bunch of amazing, creative, energetic artists, and they literally built the walls for their studios. And as the organization grew both spatially and conceptually, we also added art galleries, places to see art. So you've got artists making art. You want to have places to exhibit art, and artists learn from each other so they could see artwork. And eventually we also included an education program, because we want to be able to help support the next generation of artists, like our friends that are students in the Buffalo Public Arts Schools.
Yes, yes. So I'd like to talk more about that, the educational piece. You have a program, you have adult classes, but you have a program just for young students starting their high school careers, into the end of their high school careers, called Jumpstart, the Jumpstart program. Can you talk a little bit about that and who can get into the Jumpstart program?
I love talking about Jumpstart. So Jumpstart, actually, we let students even in middle school. So it is students that really have an interest. And that's the defining factor. They have to have a real interest. And they have to make a commitment to coming on Saturdays, which, you know, sometimes, we understand that there are conflicts. So maybe soccer season isn't a good time for you, but the rest of the year. And it's a program that it really bridges a traditional high school arts education and a college education. We work with small cohorts. We have about 40 students at any given time in the Jumpstart program. And the classes, it's not a set curriculum. We look at the students we have at any given moment. We assess their needs. We also take a look at their interests, and we build the program around the students we have right now. We also do a lot of professional development, which I think is incredibly important. Many young people know that there are starving artists. They've seen movies. Maybe they know about art teachers. And one of the things we see is a lot of students also know about animation. But there are literally hundreds of careers in the arts. And so we take our students out of the Buffalo Art Studios to meet architects, to meet engineers, to meet jewelry makers, to meet creative entrepreneurs. And they get to see that there really is a dynamic and diverse set of careers that are available through the arts. We also support these students as they apply to college. The application process for traditional students is mostly writing a paper, filling out paperwork. To apply in the arts is very different. Most colleges require a portfolio, and they want to see a diversity of skills. And we are adept at helping students do that. I just had a daughter apply to college for dance. I didn't know how to do that. I'm not a dancer. So I had to go find someone to help me, and that's what we can do here at Buffalo Art Studios. Our Jumpstart program can help young people interested in maybe going to college for the arts to make certain that they're prepared and that they're going about that process properly.
Well, that's awesome. And I know that there's several successful students that have come through here. I know them personally, so I can vouch for that. So I'd like to just take the last part of our interview to talk about what's right behind us and maybe a little bit about the art and the artist.
So the exhibition we're so lucky to be sitting in right now is by Idris Wajeb, who is a studio artist here, which means his studio is here. He makes most of his art here. And he's also our exhibiting artist for July. Idris is a dynamic musician. He's truly a Renaissance man. So he's a musician, he is a playwright, a produced playwright. He's a poet, he's an educator, he is a painter. And the large canvas we see behind us was actually created during a Facebook Live event where he paints to music, and it's a very intuitive experience. He doesn't form a big plan ahead of time. He puts his headphones on, he's not listening to the audience, and he just really lets the music speak to him. And actually, if people were interested in seeing this, if they did have internet access, we do have links on our website. They could go watch the video of Idris making this painting.
Oh, that's awesome. And he also has a mural in Niagara Falls, too.
He has murals all over the place. He's part of the Freedom Wall.
That's right.
He did some of the portraits on the Freedom Wall. He has murals on Bailey Avenue.
Right.
He has murals in Niagara Falls. Yeah, he's really, he's one of a small group of truly professional artists working in West New York. He doesn't have a day job. He really makes art for a living, and he is incredibly talented, and we're so lucky to have him here at Buffalo Art Studios.
Yes, we are. He's incredible. So thank you, Shirley, so much for taking your time and spending some of this wonderful day with us today.
Well, thank you. It was my pleasure, and I hope when things quiet down and we are all ready to go back out into the world that many of your students and their families will come. They are always welcome at Buffalo Art Studios, and we are free and open to the public.
Awesome. Thank you.
Funding for BeEnriched is provided through the generosity of KeyBank in partnership with the First Niagara Foundation. KeyBank, planning a better tomorrow for our clients, communities, and teammates. KeyBank opens doors. For info, log on to keybank.com.
And now we have with us Rebecca Wing. She's the curatorial assistant for Hallwalls Contemporary Arts Center. And thank you for being here with us.
Thank you.
So Rebecca, I know Hallwalls, it's really kind of neat to have you talk with us here at Buffalo Art Studio, because I know the history of Hallwalls actually started right in this building. So I thought maybe you can talk a little bit about Hallwalls, maybe the history and what its purpose is now.
Sure. Hallwalls was started in 1970s. By a group of young college students who were actually attending Buffalo State College at the time. And among the group was Charlie Clough, Robert Longo, Michael Zwack, many others. Cindy Sherman was part of that group.
And these are famous artists, right?
They are.
Yeah.
They eventually moved on to live and work in New York, except for Charlie Clough, who now resides locally. But they're part of the pictures generation. So this group of artists, they were young people. The first building that Hallwalls was in, it was actually on Essex Street. So right behind Essex Street Pub in those studio areas. It was an old, I want to say refrigeration factory kind of thing, ice house. So they started Hallwalls there, and their idea was that they wanted to learn how to be artists. And Buffalo was a sleepy kind of town at that time, 70s, you know, isolated, snow. And so the way that they decided to learn to be artists was that they would find artists who they admired and whose work that they were interested in and bring them to Buffalo to do a project and to talk to the group of students and artists who were here at the time. And so Hallwalls has always kind of been about young people and new ideas. And from the Essex Street building, they then moved to Tremaine. So we were here for many, many years. And currently we're inside of Bayville on Delaware in Tupper. So even though we're a 45-year-old institution, we still kind of maintain that importance of young people and young artists getting to pursue projects that are new and exciting, and they wouldn't have otherwise had an opportunity to do so.
Yeah, I think that's what makes Hallwalls pretty awesome, is that they definitely take on these contemporary issues, and they are definitely an organization that likes to connect young artists and new ideas, and I really appreciate that, because we have a lot of young artists watching now.
Absolutely, yeah.
So can you talk about some of the things that maybe you do with young people at Hallwalls? I know that you've done something with City Honors. Is there something else that you do with other young people that come visit?
Absolutely. We've always had the opportunity when it arises. If we have out-of-town artists, we try to connect them with school groups. So whether that be groups visiting the gallery and talking to the artists while they're there installing, or bringing the artist to a school. That's been an ongoing exchange for a while. And then what you're talking about with City Honors was more of a studio project that kind of evolved from talking with Becky Moda about something.
She's one of our art teachers.
Exactly. About something that her students would be interested in. And so what we did with her was that we contacted an artist that we had worked with before, Benjamin Entner, who is a Rochester-based artist. And he does these giant inflatable sculptures. They're all self-portraits drawn in Sharpie, but the poses are based on art historical sculptures. So Michelangelo, like in Delaware Park, he has one self-portrait of himself in that pose. And so we thought that work was really fun and interesting, so he came to the school to kind of facilitate that project, and students were able to come up with inflatable sculptures of their own, but it was kind of based around his work.
So if, let's say, our young people and their families want to take a visit to Hallwalls, what would they see?
We have about seven exhibitions a year, and they rotate, so you can always visit the website to see what's up and what's on in the gallery. So, you enter, it's free, so just come on in and hang out for as long as you want. Right now we also have an outdoor project that is called Postcards on the Edge, and basically there's a mailbox outside of Hallwalls, so if you want to go, you can find a postcard that just appears in the mailbox for you to take away with work by a local artist on it.
Oh, that's
so kind
really
of
nice.
Yeah.
So children can actually still do work and look at work. They go right to Hallwalls and pick out the postcard.
Yes.
That's really nice.
And there's also a slot in the mailbox, so there's a take one, so you can take away an artist's postcard, but you can also leave your own mail art in the box. So that's kind of like
nice.
a fun one. So we'll be posting like the mail that we receive on our website, so we'll have an ongoing archive of all the different work that we've received. So
I love that.
Yeah.
So I encourage all our Buffalo Public School
Yeah.
families to try that out. I think that'd be great. Could be your own artist at Hallwalls.
Absolutely.
So, well, thank you, Rebecca, for
Thank
being
you.
with us, and we appreciate your time.
Thank you.
Funding for BeEnriched is provided through the generosity of the Community Action Organization of Western New York, the CAO. For more information on the CAO's five-pronged approach to fight poverty in the Buffalo area, log on to caowny.org.
Now we're here with the Buffalo Institute for Contemporary Art, their curator and arts administrator, Emily Reynolds. How are you?
I'm well. How are you?
I'm doing great, thank you. I'm going to call it BeEnriched for short, if
Please
that's
do.
okay.
Yes, please do.
Thank you. So Emily, BeEnriched is really a new gallery for the city of Buffalo, which really makes it so exciting. I like how we kind of are following an interesting timeline here. But can you share a little bit about what BeEnriched is?
Yeah. So BeEnriched opened in 2018, so it's very new. It's a project that my husband and I opened together after moving to Buffalo and being away from here for many years. I'm new to Buffalo and he grew up here. And so we really wanted to bring our experience making art exhibitions in other cities and try doing it in Buffalo, but continue to show some of the people that we had worked with in the past. And so really what we're trying to do is break down barriers between the contemporary art world and the rest of the world through bringing artists who we think really speak to our audience, speak to relevant issues in Buffalo.
Okay, so it's very much a social art
It is
kind of.
a very social art project.
Okay.
Yeah.
So can you talk about what that could look like or what that could mean to our young people, what social art looks
so
like?
What we really try to show is art is not necessarily what you might see on the wall at a gallery. Usually it's a lot broader than paintings and sculptures. You might see some of those as well, but it's really more about building communities through making art. And so sometimes that looks like publishing a magazine. Sometimes it looks like a fashion show where we have people from all kinds of diverse backgrounds walking in very strange artist-made clothes. It goes all over the place, yeah. But it really is more about how artists have a unique ability to bring people into social engagements that can broaden their worldview about art, but also about their lives.
Mm-hmm. Well, we laugh, but I think a lot of the work that has been brought into BeEnriched has a sort of a sense of humor. They're making a statement, and they're definitely, either advocating or just telling how they feel about something. But there's often like this kind of funny stream kind of going through there, a bit of humor.
Yes.
Can you talk a little bit about why you think artists do that?
Our theme for this year has been humor as a tool. And one of the things that we think is really important about art, or an important thing that art can do, is be funny, but use that sort of humor to make changes and to help people see things in a new light. Like, if you can laugh at yourself, you can also then empathize or like put yourself in someone else's shoes. And so a lot of the things that we try to do, try to make it relatable and something that people sort of want to laugh at, but then maybe want to think a little further about too, and about why is something absurd, or why is something ridiculous, or why is something so wrong that we can all laugh at it.
It's important.
Yeah.
Especially around now. These times you need a lot of humor.
Yeah.
So can you talk about, so we're talking to young people, K through 12.
Yeah.
If they came to visit, what would they see?
Yes. Every show looks so different. We have a very, very diverse way that we curate, but some days you might walk into what feels like a rainforest in a very dark room where you hear the tinkling of water on a tin roof, and then you see these videos with memes and all sorts of things blasting in your face. Another day, you might come in and spend 2 hours reading through a comic book that an artist made. And still another day you might walk in to see these beautiful weavings on the walls. And then as you look closer, you might see a hand popping out and moving behind it.
Oh, okay.
We've done all sorts of things that really have been a completely different experience every time. And so one of the most fun things about visiting BeEnriched is you walk into this garage space or gallery space that you've seen before, but every time it feels like a completely different experience.
Yeah, that is pretty amazing. That's magical in itself,
Yeah.
and that's actually a very artful thing to do.
Yeah.
How do you change a space?
Yes.
Yeah.
That artists are amazing when you just tell them, change it totally. You have complete free reign. They go pretty crazy and it gets really fun.
Awesome. So if a family decides to come visit, is it free?
It's free, yep. We are free all the time. During COVID era, we are by appointment, but you can make an appointment for free online and we'll meet you there. We're there to talk to you about the art if you want to. If you don't want to, we'll sit and give you space. And that's, we try to make it really a friendly and social place to visit as well.
Well, thank you, Emily, so much for sharing BeEnriched with us,
Yeah.
and I hope to see you again real soon.
Yes.
All right.
Yeah.
Funding for BeEnriched is provided through the generosity of Harmac Medical Products, an award-winning international contract manufacturer of single-use medical devices, located on Bailey Avenue on Buffalo's East Side. For more information, log on to harmac.com.
And now we have with us Starlight Studios, and we have the program director for Starlight Studios, Carrie Marcotte. Thank you so much for being here.
Thank you for including us.
So, Carrie, Starlight Studios is really a special place in so many ways. And I don't think many people know about it. So would you mind explaining Starlight Studios and why it's so important?
Yeah, so Starlight Studio and Art Gallery is an art studio for adults with disabilities. And so we operate as an open art studio, so meaning that people are making their own decisions about what themes they might want to explore in their art, what materials they might want to use in their art. We incorporate in as many artists from the community as we can, to run workshops, to also have exhibitions with our artists. We have a series of exhibitions called Side by Each, where we're pairing a Starlight artist with a community artist to show their work together. There might be some, just some way that their art kind of, works together, complements one another. So we feature those exhibitions. And then we have a staff of teaching artists. And first and foremost, the teaching artists are artists first, some experience with teaching, and then also some exhibition experience. And so, we've got the open art studio, but then we also have this really lovely gallery space.
Mm-hmm. So how many artists do you actually have working in your studios?
So there are 42 artists that are in our program. They do not all come at once,
Right,
so we have like really kind of a whole,
Right.
Matrix of schedules, but if somebody is part of this program, they do have a schedule. They've got a schedule that they've decided works for them, and then it also works with our schedule. So some people will come for 5 days a week. Some people may only come for 2 days a week.
Right.
So yeah.
So I've seen some of the artwork there, and it's really amazing. It's powerful, and it's they reflect the personality of the people that create them, which is of course art in any kind of medium and way. Mm-hmm. But I know that one of your artists actually has a show at BeEnriched. We were just talking to Emily, and she was describing BeEnriched, and now I found out that one of your artists actually has their artwork there. Can you talk about him?
Yeah,
okay.
Sure.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so I was so thrilled that Emily reached out to us when she was going to have this visiting curator come to town, Will Brown, who was going to various studios to look at art, and she asked if she could bring Will to Starlight to see our work. And so he was taken by Paul Chandler's work, and Paul will call them tapestries, so he might use a piece of found material like fabric, but then does beading and stitching on top of it. He'll incorporate in whole necklaces, that he sews into these tapestries.
And tapestries are really large pieces of fabric, usually hang on the wall, right?
Right.
Okay.
Yeah.
Just in case some of our young people don't know what a tapestry is.
Yeah. So his piece that's in the BeEnriched show is about the size of Idris's
really
painting
big.
behind us here.
Okay.
Yeah. So really big. And it is formed of many different pieces that he has stitched together.
Wow,
Yeah.
that's amazing. So how many of those does he actually have?
He has one piece that was selected for the show.
Oh,
So it's
that's
actually,
great.
yeah, the curator, the visiting curator selected other artists from Buffalo to be in the exhibition.
Wow, so that's pretty exciting.
Oh, yeah.
So
Well,
he's a superstar.
Yeah, and he's feeling it, you know.
Right.
And that's really an awesome role that Starlight Studio has played in the arts community here. You know, that we can kind of help with this arts integration to happen. You know, that
Right.
this is artwork being done by people with disabilities that haven't gotten, you know, college education in the arts, you know,
Right.
and maybe even didn't even focus on it in high school so much, but have discovered that they like to make art. They like to work with materials, and they produce some really interesting and beautiful things.
Right.
And it's been picked up by, you know, other artists and arts organizations in the community.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
So if we have young people interested in this kind of studio experience, what age do you take them on, or is there a way that how do they get involved?
Well, if it's somebody that would be part of the studio, so one of our artists, I mean, so it is for adults with disabilities, so that would be
So they
18
have to be at
and
high
older.
school.
Yeah,
Okay,
yeah,
18.
18 or older. We certainly have a lot of students that might come and intern or shadow or just even come to just take a tour and walk through. I mean, so they can call us at
Okay.
842-1525 for that. But also our gallery is considered public space. So that is Monday through Friday, 9 to 4 is our gallery. So that is,
And that's
you know,
free?
Yeah, oh yeah,
Okay,
it's definitely
okay.
free. Yeah.
Oh, great. So maybe they could come by and say hi.
Absolutely.
Oh, great. Will they be
Absolutely.
able to meet artists when they're there sometimes?
Yeah, yeah. So our program then runs Monday through Friday, 9 to 3.
Oh, great.
And so we would if somebody's going to go up into the studio, then staff goes up with them just
Right.
to kind of introduce this visitor to our artists there. And our Starlight artists love visitors. They
Right.
really do. Yeah.
Right. Oh,
Yeah.
I'm so excited. So,
Yeah.
so I encourage our young people to visit because the artwork is amazing and everyone there is super friendly.
Yeah.
And we have a lot to learn from these amazing artists. So thank you, Carrie, so much for joining us today.
Happy to be here.
Thank you. And thank you everyone in TV land for joining us. We appreciate your time and we'll see you next time and be enriched.
Funding for BeEnriched is provided through the generosity of KeyBank in partnership with the First Niagara Foundation. KeyBank, planning a better tomorrow for our clients, communities, and teammates. KeyBank opens doors. For info, log on to keybank.com. Funding for BeEnriched is provided through the generosity of the Community Action Organization of Western New York, the CAO. For more information on the CAO's 5-pronged approach to fight poverty in the Buffalo area, log on to caowny.org.